Thank you, Kurt. Here's what's happening in the region. In Trinidad and Tobago, more than a week after 11 government websites were attacked by Brazilian anti-government hackers, two national security sites remained down. On July 25th, the Trinidad and Tobago Computer Society flagged the hacking of the sites by Brazilian hacker in a series of posts. According to the Newsday, National Security Minister Stuart Young confirmed his ministry's and the Immigration Division's websites had both been hacked, but said no real damage had been done. He said investigations had been launched to identify the source of the hacking and the sites shut down until the ministry could secure them and understand what happened. The Philippines Department of Health on Tuesday declared the country's outbreak of dengue to be a national epidemic. The agency said Health Secretary Francisco Duque III made the declaration to improve the response to the outbreak by allowing local governments to draw on a special quick response fund. According to the Associated Press, the Philippines recorded 146,062 cases of dengue from January through July 20th this year, which is 98% more than the same period in 2018. It said the outbreak caused 622 deaths. The Department of Health said that starting Tuesday, it was conducting a campaign to focus on finding and destroying mosquito breeding sites, which is a primary means of containing dengue. President Donald Trump has imposed sweeping sanctions on the Venezuelan government, freezing its assets in the U.S. and barring transactions with it. This measure is expected to be far more damaging for Venezuela's socialist government than previous sanctions, the BBC reported. The move is the latest aimed at increasing pressure on President Nicolas Maduro to step down. The U.S. is one of more than 50 nations that do not recognize Mr. Maduro as Venezuela's legitimate president. It has instead given its backing to the head of the National Assembly, Juan Guaido, who declared himself president in January. President Trump signed an executive order which states that all property and interests in property of the government of Venezuela that are in the United States are blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, withdrawn, or otherwise dealt in. The order also bars transactions with Venezuelan authorities whose assets are blocked, stating that the making of any contribution or provision of funds, goods, or services by, to, or for the benefit of any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order. Internationally, Nobel Prize-winning U.S. author Toni Morrison has died at the age of 88. Her family confirmed with profound sadness that Morrison had died following a short illness. Author of 11 novels, she won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1993, having published her first novel, The Bluest Eye, in 1970. Her 1987 book, Beloved, told the story of a runaway female slave and was made into a film starring Oprah Winfrey in 1998. When she was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, the Swedish Academy described her as an author who, in novels characterized by visionary force and poetic import, gives life to an essential aspect of American reality. Zimbabwe's former leader, 95-year-old Robert Mugabe, has been in hospital in Singapore since April. His successor, Emerson Mnangagwa, has said Mr. Mugabe has been making good progress and could be discharged soon, Mr. Mnangagwa said, according to the BBC. He did not disclose Mr. Mugabe's illness. In November, he said the ex-president was unable to walk because of ill health and old age. Mr. Mugabe ruled Zimbabwe for 38 years until he was forced to resign in 2017. The military had placed him under house arrest, and Parliament had threatened to impeach him after accusing him of allowing his wife, Grace, to usurp constitutional power. Indian-administered Kashmir remains locked down a day after it was stripped of a status that gave it significant autonomy from the rest of India. Telephone networks and the internet, which were cut off on Sunday evening, are yet to be restored, and tens of thousands of troops are patrolling the streets, the BBC reported. Instances of protests and stone throwing have been reported, despite the communications blackout and a curfew. Local leaders have also been detained. The Himalayan region of Kashmir is claimed formed in its entirety by both India and Pakistan, but they each control only parts of it. There is a long-running separatist insurgency on the Indian side, which has led to thousands of deaths over 3 decades. India accuses Pakistan of supporting insurgents, but its neighbor denies this, saying it only gives moral and diplomatic support to Kashmiris who want self-determination. In his first remarks on the revoked status, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan said what had happened was illegal under international law and that his country could take the issue to UN Security Council. And that brings us to the end of regional and international headlines. Back to you, Kurt.